Coach, help. After 28 years of being in business together, my wife wants to leave me. I would love to say that this is uncommon, but unfortunately, it's not. Now, before I get too far into this video, let me make it absolutely clear that I am not a marriage counselor or a licensed anything when it comes to giving advice about this subject. So please, if you're struggling in your marriage, please seek professional help. Now, that said, I feel like I can share with you some of my own struggles and some of the things that me and my bride have worked through in our own marriage while we were also trying to navigate being in business together. And I can also share with you some of the stories that my clients have worked through as well. Now, and the way that I plan on doing that, and for the sake of this discussion, I've created a composite fictitious couple named Bill and Jessica. So no, I'm not putting anybody's dirty laundry out there, but both Bill and Jessica will tell you that being in business is hard. And being married to a business owner is really hard. But being in business with someone you're married to can be almost impossible. Now, Bill and Jessica have been in business with each other for 28 years, and finally they've gotten to the point where they don't have to be involved in the day-to-day operations anymore. Huzzah! They've arrived, right? Well, for the last 28 years, much of their identity has been wrapped up in the business. And when you look at them through the lens of the 6 human needs, that becomes very apparent. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the 6 human needs, they are the 6 psychological needs. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to unpack those individually. But they are significance, certainty, variety, love and connection, growth, and contribution. Okay, so let's unpack those one at a time. So first, when we start talking about significance, significance is just our need to feel important in our lives. And that can come through a variety of factors. We all have a need to feel important, to feel like we matter, like our opinions matter, and so forth and so on. So that is significance. We also have a need for certainty. Now, in terms of certainty, again, we all have a need for certainty. Again, we have certainty in our vehicles that, if we had a vehicle that only started 60% of the time, that's not enough certainty for us, no matter how nice the car is. Or maybe we need to have enough certainty in our bank account. We want to have a certain amount in our bank account before we start losing our minds. Even uncertainty in our food, our relationships, whatever that is. But we all have a need for certainty. We also have a need for variety. And again, as much as I love blueberry pancakes, there's no way in the world I could have blueberry pancakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 30 days straight. I would just lose my mind. So again, we all have a need for variety. We also have a need for love and connections because let's face it, we are social creatures and we like hanging out with some people. And we like hanging out with some of us like hanging out with lots of people. And some of us only like hanging out with a select few, right? Whether you're extroverted or introverted. And, whether you're extroverted, maybe you like to have lots of different relationships going on. And for some, we might just want to have a few relationships going on where we know people at a deeper level. Either way, love and connection is one of the 6 human needs, right? And then finally, we have growth and contribution. So first, growth or expansion, that is just simply about growing as human beings. Maybe we're growing in our knowledge. Maybe we're expanding our minds. Maybe we're growing in our faith, right? Or maybe in our wellness, or maybe we're growing our muscles or expanding our knowledge in those areas around health and wellness and fitness and so forth. And then finally is contribution. Then that is the 6th of the human needs. And that is just simply giving back. That's pretty straightforward in terms of what we want in our lives and being able to give back and help others grow by us being in contribution with others. Okay, so those are the 6 human needs. So when we're thinking about this in the context of Bill and Jessica, right? Bill and Jessica got their needs for significance met in lots of ways, right? Is it possible, for example, that Bill and Jessica got their need for significance met at high levels through their business? Well, sure. Maybe Bill, for example, was made to feel important in his business because he felt like he always knew all the answers, right? Like he felt important. People would come to him for lots of different things they were trying to get figured out, and he always knew a solution, right? Maybe for Jessica, she felt like she knew everything there was about the finances and the customer accounts, and she felt important. It gave her a sense of importance. It made them both feel important in their businesses. Let's look at certainty. Is it possible that both Bill and Jessica got their needs for certainty met at high levels? Sure, Bill knew his job really well, and there was never a situation that he couldn't figure out. As for Jessica, she knew a certain amount of money would come in each month, and that would provide for their standard of living. Okay, so that is significance and certainty. Okay, those are the first two human needs. Well, let's talk about variety. Variety. Now, let's face it. Is it possible that they both got their needs for variety met at high levels through their business? Well, sure. Now, for anybody who's probably watching this, knows that being in business, one of the cool things is that it's rarely the same thing 2 days in a row. So you get lots of variety from your customers, variety from the situations that show up, whatever it is, from the problems that you have to solve and so forth, right? So those are the first three human needs. Again, significance, certainty, and variety. Well, what about love and connection? Well, both Bill and Jessica, they love the interaction with their employees. They love the interaction with their vendors. They love the interaction with their customers. So they got their needs met for love and connection met at very high levels. The next one is growth and expansion. So let's look at that in terms of growth and expansion. Growth is simply, growth and expansion is simply, through their business, they're learning something new every single day. Maybe they spend a lot of time going to conferences and learning new things. Maybe they spend time in a B&I chapter where they're having lots of one-to-ones with folks, they're having lots of one-to-ones and they're learning about different businesses, right? So they're learning, they're growing, they're expanding, and because of their business. Now, what about the last one, which is being in contribution? So when it comes to being in contribution, my mouse does not want to play well with me today. So in terms of being in contribution, this is also true in contribution, where they get to give back to their employees and they get to give back to their community through their businesses. So they got their needs met at very high levels from their business through growth, and in contribution. So all of these things are really, really important to consider, because Bill and Jessica are getting their needs met at very high levels by being in business. And that's really, really important, because when you stop and think about it for just a second, when you're looking at the 6 psychological needs, they're getting their needs met at very high levels. It may sound great, like cool, they got a business, it's profitable, it delivers all their needs. Well, yeah, that might be great, but here's the thing. If you have any one singular activity where 3 or more of your needs is being met, it can be considered an addiction. So let me ask you, they say, let's say that they have this business where all of their needs are being met at very high levels, okay? And this business goes away. Or let's face it, maybe they grew the business to the point where the business doesn't need them any longer. Do their needs magically go away? Does their need for significance magically go away? Or their need for certainty or variety? No, of course not. They still need to have their needs met, and sometimes those needs can be met in very unhealthy ways. Let me ask you, can a married man get his needs for significance met in ways that are not good? Sure. Could a married man get his needs for variety met in ways that are not good? Sure. How about a married woman? Can she get her needs met for love and connection in ways that are not healthy? Yeah, of course. And this is the biggest concern I have for married couples who wrap their identities within their businesses. Now, what both Bill and Jessica, I'm making up names here. What both Bill and Jessica have come to realize is that this business has not only served to provide an income for them, but it's also been a mechanism for them to hide. Now, I know this was very true for me when I didn't want to face what was going on at home, and I really need to be pouring into my bride in my marriage, but I just didn't want to face the facts that things at home were not good. And let's just face it, when things aren't right at home, things aren't right anywhere. And the fact was that I had some real issues going on in my marriage that I just did not want to deal with. So, look, are there some couples who can make it work? Absolutely. And I think that they should be modeled, but I do say that with one caveat. If that couple models your core values and they model what you want your relationship to look like with your spouse, not your business relationship, but your personal relationship, then by all means, follow them and model what they do. The fact is, though, it's really hard to know what goes on behind closed doors, right? When the cameras aren't rolling and people aren't watching. Like me and my bride, Jen, we don't always get it right, and sometimes we really struggle. But that struggle started to get a lot easier when I stopped wrapping all of my identity into my business and started seeking significance and certainty and variety in ways that were healthy for both Jen and myself. So, see, here are 2 quick suggestions I'm going to have for married folks who are in business together. Number 1, don't put all of your identity into being a business owner. Consider that if you stopped doing business tomorrow, what would your life look like with your spouse? Would you be waking up with a stranger, or would you be waking up with your ride or die guy or gal who you're ready to go have the full experience of life with? Second, get intentional with what you want your relationship to look like. Create a vision for what you want your relationship to look like with your spouse. And if you don't know how to have a conversation with them and not talk about work or business, find some common interests. I'm sure you had common interests before. Find those common interests again. Something that doesn't involve your business. And don't say, well, I like to work. We love to talk about, business. Don't use that as an excuse to not talk about something more meaningful. Date night with your spouse should not become a board of directors meeting. So find something other than your business to talk about. Work on your relationship now. Work on it now so that when the time comes to retire or just step away from the business, that you're not finding yourself on vacation with someone that you never got to know along the way. Anyway, I hope you guys and gals did find this helpful. That's all I have for today. So if you did like this video, please like it, subscribe, share it if it is meaningful for you, for someone else. And I'll see you guys next time.